We're here for a status hearing in this case. We're conducting this through Zoom. We are live streaming. And Ms. Galvan's making our record. Okay, we will take announcements.
Daniel Trow for the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services, and Tar Outley as my permanency specialist. We are present and ready. Your Honor, I received a call right before the hearing started today from Mr. Taylor, mom's attorney. He told me he's having computer issues, had to be in another court in another county, but he and his client were in agreement with the orders. He just wasn't able to send me a signature. And that he does not expect her to appear today, and he will not be able to appear today.
Okay, Ms. Raleigh, you're muted.
Yes, ma'am. I apologize.
You're present, and but you're
yes. Judge, I am present and I am representing Keon Mathis. My client is not present. He is in the Potter County Jail. We're actually calling the jail right now, and I'm sorry, that's what I was doing. That's to see whether or not he wanted to appear. I thought he did today, but then things may have broken down from them. So I'm just going to see if I can get him on the phone while we're doing the hearing.
Okay.
Stacy Zavala on behalf of the children.
All right, then, Mr. Outley, if you want to give us an update.
Kids are doing fine in all placements. Only complaint the mom has that she's not been receiving calls from her two kids in Lubbock at the Boys Ranch place. She's supposed to get calls on Wednesdays and Sundays. And she hasn't been receiving calls in like the last 2 weeks, and she had a concern about that. But she's doing her service, but mom's working on her services. She already completed parenting. She's one service away from completing counseling. She did her psychosocial with TPC. So she's on track, doing really well.
Mr. Alley, have we looked into what's the situation with the calls and mom not getting them? Do we know why?
No, I plan to call him this afternoon and see what the problem is.
Ms. Brunson is present with us. Ms. Brunson, do you have any idea why we're not getting phone calls out?
I do not. I just texted their foster parents to ask. They should be calling. I know they have a set time that they typically call, so I don't know if it's maybe they're calling and she's not answering during that time, but I am reaching out to the foster parents real quick to make sure we get that back on track.
Okay, so Wednesdays and Saturdays, Mr. Outley?
She said Wednesdays and Sundays.
Sundays, I'm sorry.
Yes.
And Your Honor, while I didn't speak directly with the placement, I did speak with the kids, and they were saying they weren't happening. So I think they feel like they're not happening on their end. I think there's some communication problem in terms of who's supposed to call or when it's supposed to be, because that was the one issue I was going to bring up is the kids were saying they were not getting visits. So I think it is a problem that everybody wants fixed.
Okay, so Ms. Brunson, we just need to communicate between Mr. Outley and you and foster parents about who's to initiate the call and all of that.
Yes, ma'am. We will get that fixed definitely this week.
All right, I appreciate it.
In your honor, on Mr. Outley's defense on this one, as far as what's going on, he's new to this case. He and his supervisor both are new to this case, so they're getting some of this worked out and figuring this case out. But it just got changed over to him.
Okay, all right, fair enough. Okay, all right, Mr. Taylor obviously expressed that he and his client are both in agreement with the order. Sounds like mom's in compliance and doing what we need her to do. Any contact with Mr. Harris or Mr. Johnson?
No, ma'am.
All right, then, Ms. Riley.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Anything to report on your end from?
No, I mean, I think my client is in a difficult position. Obviously, he's in, as far as the child is concerned, you know, he would like to
Yes.
be updated on his child. He'd like to know what's going on. He's willing to work services, but we're very limited on what he can do because he is facing such serious charges in Potter County. And so, I believe that's what he's told Mr. Ali as well. I don't know. Have you spoken to him?
No,
Since
he
you
probably
talked
spoke
to
with
him?
Haven. I got him last. I just got this case last week, so he probably spoke to the other PS.
Yes. Okay. So yes, I know he had spoken to the last one and said, he's willing to do whatever services he's willing to that he can do while in jail. But I don't anticipate that he'll be leaving jail anytime soon.
Okay, so, what is the status? I was looking back to see, I mean, he's the alleged father of Isaiah. And we also have Mr. Harris is an alleged father of Isaiah. I'm not seeing an order for genetic testing unless I'm just not looking closely enough. Are we gonna get on that right away?
I'm good with that, Your Honor. I can't remember if they weren't requesting or Ms. Riley, did he state, your client state whether he wanted paternity testing or is he?
Well, that's one of the things that I wanted to try to get him on the phone. And we did try yesterday too, but Potter County Jail was having an issue with their phone calls. The issue here is that he had not decided fully. And so I can let you know today whether or not he wants to have that test or if he just wants to sign. And I can email you as soon as we're still trying to get him on the phone, but again, there's a problem at the jail. But I can let you know today.
Okay,
And so, yeah, I'm good doing paternity testing on either if they wanted. Like I said, Mr. Harris was served also. We've personally served him, so he's aware of the case.
yeah,
But
yeah, I mean, we got personal service on both of them, but yeah, if somebody's gonna request, we sure wanna know and so we can get on it.
yes, ma'am.
So, okay.
Hey,
So yeah, Miss Riley, if you would just confirm with him whether or not,
Yeah.
what his position is, so we know.
I actually have him on the phone now, Judge. So while you're doing other things, let me see if I can figure that out real quick.
Sure, would be great. Okay, Ms. Lawler.
Um, Your Honor, I second what Mr. Trout said. I know that Mr. Outley and new supervisor, everybody's new. But I will say out of the 3 placements for the 4 children, all 3 of the placements brought up to me, hey, what happened with visitation? We're not getting visitation. So there has been a breakdown in communication as to that sibling visitation and visitation with mom, which seems like it can be easily corrected. It seems like everybody wants that to happen. But from my perspective, the 3 placements that I talked to, they were all saying, hey, there's not this visitation. So that was the biggest issue. And then I have questions about grandmother. Is there a home study in the works for grandmother? What happened with that?
Yeah, there was a home study for grandmother, but it was denied.
Okay. Would it be possible for you to forward that home study to me?
Yes.
And Stacy, it was filed on the 16th. It was
Oh.
just filed at the end of last week. I just noticed that.
I'm sorry, I missed it come in then. But all of the kids had a relationship with grandmother. And so the older 2 specifically were asked, of course, the younger ones are pretty young, but the older 2 were asking about contact with grandma. And so I didn't know if visits could be set up. Isaiah looks like a totally new baby. He looks amazing. And so I'm really thrilled with that. And I think it's just he's getting the nutrition he needs now. The kids all seem to be doing very well. And the only real issue is visits with each other, the sibling visits, and with mom in terms of whatever that's going to be, and then potentially visits with grandmother.
But Well, hopefully in the next day or two, we can get all this sorted out with the placements and visitation. And I understand there are a lot of moving parts with when you've got kids in different placements. So, um, just, just hopefully we can get it resolved pretty quickly. And Ms. Brunson, I'm appreciate you logging in this morning. That helps, just that you're already aware and already working on it on your end. So, thank you for your help with that.
Yes, ma'am.
All right then,
And Judge, I did speak to my client. He would request paternity testing.
okay, very good. All right, then I'm gonna order genetic testing on Mr. Mathis regarding Isaiah. I will continue the department as temporary managing conservator, and I will continue all of the children's placements. Going to order the service plans as an order of the court today. Don't have any parents here to admonish, but hopefully council will do that when they're in contact with them. Mr. Alley, are you requesting any kind of drug screening or anything else like that today?
No.
Okay. All right, then, I'll see everybody back for our initial permanency hearing, and that'll be on August 19th of 2025 on a 9 o'clock docket. Okay, I sure appreciate everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge. Thank you,
Thank
Anton.
you.
Uh,
We are here today for our initial permanency hearing. And we are conducting this through Zoom under finding of good cause and agreement of the parties. We're live streaming. Ms. Galvan is making our record. All right, we'll go ahead and take announcements.
Daniel Trout for the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. Bryza Salinas is my permanency specialist. We're present ready.
Tracy Riley.
Maureen Lucet. I'm sorry, Tracy, go ahead.
Tracy Riley appearing for Jeremy Alonzo, and the father, he is present, and we're both ready to proceed.
Your Honor, Maureen Lucet on behalf of the mother, Dolores Luna. Your Honor, I'm present and ready. I'm assuming that Miss Luna is also there.
She is. I just let her in. I realized she was in the waiting room, so I've just brought her in. Ms. Luna,
right,
she's
thank you.
muted. Let me make sure we have. Okay, we've got contact with her. Okay.
Stacy Zavala on behalf of the children.
All right. Then we'll go ahead and get an update from Ms. Salinas.
Morning. The
Good
kids are doing well. They are placed with maternal great aunt. She seems to be doing really well with keeping all their medical needs and just keeping them safe. They were in daycare since the last hearing. She did have to put them in daycare for work, but since then they have been removed. They were just getting sick and they were just not adjusting well. And so she went ahead and just pulled them out of daycare. And since then, they've just been home with her. They were getting sick a lot. They had COVID, pink eye. They had never been in daycare. So I think it's just that first, going to daycare and you kind of just get all the sicknesses. But they are better now. They're healthier. The visitations seem to be going well. We've moved them to where Diana is now supervising them in her home twice a week for an hour and a half each day. Those visits seem to be going well. It's been about 3 weeks since that has started. So we're just slowly progressing into just, transitioning to reunification, hopefully soon. We do have, the parents have finished all their services. Dolores has started college. She's at Amarillo College now. She's wanting to do the nursing program. She did have a slight positive hair follicle in February. It did take a while to come back. And I think she had dyed her hair previously And so I think that was the reason that it just took a while for it to come back. But since then, she's done another OSAR just so that we could make sure she has the extra support and coping skills that she needs, just in case, and so she did that. It was completed. She continues to have drug court. She did finish Padre for parenting and her counts. She continues to do counseling as well through probation and drug court. Attends NA as well through drug court. She's doing really well. If we ask her to do an extra OSAR or anything like that, she is very cooperative and she does it. Jeremy as well has done all his services. He completed his parenting through Fatherhood Fire. We did send him for an OSAR. There was no recommendations, but we did. I just staffed with my supervisor yesterday, and we did want to, of course, just help support and provide positive coping skills. So we were asking if he could attend 6 NA classes, and they could be online if he chooses. He does work. His job has transitioned, so he's home a little later. So we did discuss some of those could be online. And again, just 6, just to make sure he has those extra coping skills, just to make sure we're heading in the positive direction and no relapse happens. And he has those coping skills just in case and stuff. But that's where we're at right now.
Okay. All right. Sounds great. Especially as early as we are in the case. So it's very refreshing to parents. I really appreciate how hard you all have worked and the progress that you've made. This is, it's a very good thing. And so we're definitely headed in the right direction. What about dad's visits? I mean, are we?
Him and mom do them together. They
Okay.
are together. Yeah,
Yeah.
Dolores and Jeremy are together, so they attend together. We made it to where he gets home probably around 6:37, somewhere around there, 6:30. And so we just went ahead and moved visits to around 6:30 to 8. It helps them with dinner, prep them for dinner, bedtime, help, the great aunt, she's older. So they just help her with all that stuff.
Okay. Sounds good. Yeah, all of that's going to make the transition home much easier. So I'm completely in favor of that. So as long as everything, stays good, then we're on solid ground. Okay. All right, Ms. Lucero.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Salinas, so right now the parents are visiting. You stated 1.5 hours per visit twice a week. Is that correct?
Yes, and during the transition, I have to staff to move those up a little bit more just to give them more time as they transition to reunification, correct?
Okay, so just to be clear, my client and I are on the same page. So what will happen there with the setting up the transition, then will they be moving hopefully soon into some type of unsupervised visits?
I believe that's the next step. I do have to staff that with my supervisor. But yeah, that would be the next step, is just increasing probably a little bit more time with Diana. Again, it's only been 3 weeks since they've been doing that.
Right.
So we want to just increase the time, maybe give them a little bit more time with Diana supervising. And then the next transition, again, I have to staff that to get the next steps going.
Okay. And whenever y'all get that set up, could you send me just like a draft of it or something, just so I'll have something that I can discuss with my client, please?
I sure can.
Okay. All right. That's all the questions I have, Your Honor.
Okay. Thank you. All right, Ms. Riley.
I just want to be clear. Jeremy's tested negative during the entirety of the case. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And then his OSAR came back and they did not recommend any need for any services.
Correct.
Okay. But despite all that, you all want him to do, and the only reason why I'm asking is that, his work schedule, I mean, he's willing to do whatever it takes, but his work schedule is difficult and he's trying to balance work and his, doing all the other services. So
Well,
is there a reason?
Yeah, he's done with all his other services. It's just the NA, and that's why we accommodated that he do online NA classes. And again, it's just for extra support and coping skills, just because they've recently, got their kids removed prior. And then a couple months later, we were back in this same situation. That's what this case is. And so we just want to make sure he has all the coping skills that he needs, just in case, relapse or anything like that happens again.
Okay. And you discussed that with Jeremy?
Yes, and he was okay with that. I told him that it's just 6, it could be online. And then he'll just send me the date and things like that of verification that he attended. Because I know a lot of them are anonymous. So yeah, so he'll just send me the date, the speaker, the company that he attended online and stuff like that. So, and he has agreed on that as well.
All right, and I know that you have to staff it, but I just want to join with Miss Lucera. Do you have any idea when we can start to see? I know there,
Yeah.
my client would like to see increased visitation. Do you have any idea when we can start to move to that next phase?
Yeah, again, it's only been 3 weeks, so I know increased time could be, increased time could be within the next couple of weeks,
Okay.
just to give them more time so that we could start that process.
All right, nothing further, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Ball?
Miss Salinas, right now the visits are at great aunt's home at 6:30 in the evening. Is that correct?
Correct, till 8 p.m. on 2 days a week.
Okay. And Treasure's 3 and Nico's 1?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. It's at the beginning of these visits, well, let me back up. Is Treasure gonna have to have some dental surgery?
I have not gotten confirmation from Diana on that. I do know that a few months ago, she said during the dentist appointment, they told her to stop eating candy and things like that. And so Dolores, I advised Dolores and Jeremy not to bring sugary foods to the visits anymore because of the dentist stating that her cavities were, they're trying to do like all the caps and stuff like that. So.
Okay. It's my understanding that they're gonna have to possibly put her down to do the caps. I mean, you know, to do some anesthesia, to put her down to do the
Yes.
caps on the 2 teeth. Does that sound like what Diana was talking
Yes.
about you? Okay. And it sounds like parents stopped bringing as many sweets once they were, would it be possible? It's my understanding that the parents are letting Treasure have Coca-Cola at 6:30 at night on these visits. It sounds like parents have been very responsive to adjustments to that. But would you agree that that's not a good idea to give a 3-year-old who's already got issues with sugar, full caffeinated sugared Coke at 6:30 at night?
Yes, I would agree.
Okay. So is there, other than the dental surgery that's going to be upcoming, it sounds like both kids are in good health. Is that right?
Yes, both of them are doing well. I do know Treasure is getting potty trained and she's struggling with that. ECI has been, I believe, sent out as well. I can't remember when they said they were going to go out. I apologize. To do that, she does have a little bit of behaviors, but we thought they were just the daycare. Since then, Diana has said they've kind of died down and stuff like that. So I think it was more of a daycare issue. And so we've settled that.
And I think you've hit on this. Treasure can have a tendency to have some tantrums. And would you agree that it would be important to have kind of consistent rules for her to help with that?
Yes, and I do want to say Diana has expressed as well that everybody in general, when I go on visits, that everybody babies Treasure. So I don't know if that just accounts for her behaviors. She's a little bit more spoiled than Nico. So I think she knows it.
Okay. Your Honor, those are all the questions that I have for Ms. Salinas. The kids appear to be doing really well in placement, and parents clearly have worked really, really hard. I would ask that they help focus a little bit more on nutrition. I know that Diana is really trying to do fruits and vegetables instead of candy and things like that. It also kind of can ramp her up and have a hard time sleeping after that. But in general, it appears that parents are doing really well and that this is headed the right direction. And I do recommend that this placement continue.
All right, then for today, I'm going to continue the department as temporary managing conservator and continue the children's current placement. Make a finding that there would be a continuing danger to return the children home today, but parents are in full compliance And we will work towards reunification in the case. Sounds like that's already being contemplated. So we'll start with the, increase in visits and start working into that. Yeah, parents just try to be aware that little kids, they don't need any additional ramping up at bedtime. So just try to be mindful about what all you're giving them. Okay, then I will see everybody back for our next review hearing, August 19th of 2025. That'll be at 9 o'clock in the morning. My anticipation is that children will already be back in the home with parents by that time. And we'll be checking in to see how things are going. So I certainly hope that's the way it is. All right.
And
Thank y'all
Judge,
very much.
Judge, can we get a ruling on as far as adding the 6 NA classes for dad?
Oh, yeah, I'll go ahead and order those as part of his services. Mr. Alonso, that gives you I think it's not only coping skills for you, but for you should mom relapse. I mean, there's just a lot of, good, I think, help there.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. I appreciate your cooperation and I'll see y'all back in August.
Thank you, Judge.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you.
All right. Y'all have a good rest of your day.
You too.
Thank you, Judge. May I be excused?
Absolutely.
Thank you, Judge.
Children, we're here for an initial permanency hearing. We are conducting this through Zoom. We are live streaming, and Ms. Galvan's making our record today. All right, we'll go ahead and take announcements.
Daniel Trial for the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. Sean Ryan is permanency specialist. We're present ready.
Jeff Hill on behalf of respondent father, Roberto Lara. Judge, he's in the Potter County Jail. He won't be with us today, but I'm ready.
Anna Gomez on behalf of respondent mother. We're present and ready.
Stacy Zavala on behalf of the boys.
Good. Mr. Ryan, I think you're here to give us an update, so we'll let you start.
There is no update since the court report has been filed, Your Honor.
Okay. All right.
Real quick, Your Honor, I'd like to ask Mr. Ryan a couple of questions.
Certainly.
Ms. Ryan, mom's doing well right now. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. She's still working good services.
Yes, sir.
There's been a recommendation she completed her, I believe it was individual counseling. There's been some recommendations from the counselor for her to continue that if she's willing to. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. For extra support, yes, sir.
Okay. Have you had that conversation with mom? Have you discussed that with her?
No, I believe Melissa, the person she was doing individual counseling with, has told her that.
Okay. Do you know whether mom is willing to do that or what her plan is on that?
I do not.
Okay. She still got some of her domestic violence classes to finish up, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And she still has with TPC on her substance abuse with Linda Dudley, she's still working on that. Is that correct? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Has mom started going in person on that?
She has.
Okay, so she did start doing that. I saw in the report that on April 7th, Ms. Dudley had said that she needed to start coming in person. So, but she has started doing that.
Yes, sir, she has.
Okay, all right. Do you know how many sessions she's completed since doing that?
I got she's done 6 as of right now.
Okay, 6 total?
With TPC Linda Dudley, yes, sir.
Okay, all right. Do you know when she started going in person?
I don't know the exact start date, no, sir.
Okay. All right. How are visitations going?
They're going good. She has 2 visits a week, Tuesdays and Wednesdays for 30 minutes. For the most part, she does well. I've gotten a couple of reports from the visit monitor and the caregivers, because they're there virtually as well, that she's ended the visits early because she's been tired from work, things like that. The visits are only for 30 minutes as well, I might add. But that, for the most part, that she does well with the kids.
Okay. And the 30 minutes of visits, the visits only being 30 minutes are due to the virtual visits and the children's age?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Are we looking, I know it's hard with the kids where they are as far as trying to do in-person visits or stepping up to that. Has mom given you any names of family members for home studies?
The only one we had was the only home study we've conducted was the paternal grandmother, and that got denied. I was in contact. I reached out to the maternal grandparents. They haven't given me, or they haven't given me any verification that they want to intake the kids. They're going through some. They were at the time going through some medical issues with the grandmother.
Okay.
Yadira did mention to me yesterday though that they are willing to bring the kids in. However, I haven't verified that yet because that was just yesterday. So yeah, I would need to verify that, and we would need to do a home study on them as well.
Okay, but now that you have that name and that they're possibly, you'll be reaching out to try to get a home study started?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. And once we're able to get the children, if we're able to get the children moved back in area, we can look at trying to start some in-person visits eventually.
Yes, but they are not in area.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If we can get them back in,
Yes, sir.
to where mom can do the in-person.
Yes, sir.
Any other concerns with mom or anything else that you're requesting mom do?
Not at this time.
Okay, all right. And is dad trying to work anything while he's incarcerated at this time?
Dad is he's not doing anything. He's incarcerated, so no.
Okay. Is he have you given him packets of what he can do while he's incarcerated?
Yes, sir. I gave him a parenting one and anger management, I believe, and he claimed that he did do that. When I went to go see him and follow up with him, he refused to see me, so I never got a chance to get those packets to see if he did complete them. So,
okay. But from what he's telling you, he did do it?
Yes, sir.
Just no verification. Okay. All right. Thank you. I'll pass witness. Oh.
Okay. No, you're fine. You're right. Sorry.
I'll pass witness, Your Honor. Do you have something else to say, Mr. Ryan, on that?
No, sir. No, sir. I don't.
Okay. All right. I'll pass witness, Your Honor.
Okay, Ms. Gomez?
Hi, Mr. Ryan. A few follow-up questions there. So out of all of the services that my client was initially recommended to complete, my understanding is that she's working on domestic violence classes and the TPC meetings, correct?
Yes. So it'd be TPC, substance abuse, and TPC mental health as well.
And how many of those does she need to attend?
She has about 18 left. She has 18 left with the substance abuse, and for mental health, there's not a specific amount. She's supposed to be going once a month, and discharge her based off their notes of her.
And as far as all of her other services, has she completed those other than the recommendation to continue counseling?
She's done. She's completed parenting with Antonio Graves, and she did complete her individual therapy. But like I said, yes, there was a recommendation that she still do follow-ups with her. So it's on her to schedule the appointments, and it's just an extra support is what the recommendation was if she's struggling.
Okay. And let's see here. Have you had any issues staying in contact with Miss Godina at all?
No, ma'am.
No issues at all staying in contact. And when was the last time that you visited her home?
Last month.
And what was the condition of the home?
It was good. Clean.
Was there appropriate, bedding and a room for the children
Yes.
at all? Or yes. Okay. And let's see. Are you aware that for as far as my client's employment goes, what do you know? Is she working full time? Is she?
Yes, she's provided the pay stubs for me as well. She reported to me that she's working at Burger King at the moment.
Are you aware of how long she's been working at Burger King?
I believe a month and a half, maybe. I'm not exact sure the exact start date, but I have to go back and check.
Can you think of any other concerns that you have about my client right now that we haven't really
Um,
addressed?
Yes, ma'am. I am kind of concerned that she has ended the visits early. Considering that, they're really not that long. They're just only about 30 minutes, and it's only 2 times a week as well. And that kind of concerns me with being like, a full-time parent and everything, especially with Jace having autism as well. He needs high care. So that'd be my concern. Yes, ma'am.
In the middle of those visits, is she ending them in the middle of interaction, or is there really just not a whole lot of interaction going on?
Yeah, she reported that she was tired. A couple of them that she was tired. Sometimes there is times where the kids are very young and they kind of just go off and do their own things. That is correct, but there has been times where she's been too tired to complete the visit. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Has that been since she started working?
Yes, ma'am.
You can understand, starting a new full-time job, getting used to it a couple times
ma'am.
here and again, might be a little exhausted. Okay. Anything else that you'd like to report, Mr. Ryan?
Not at this time.
I pass the witness, Your Honor.
So, Mr. Hill, anything to report today?
No, ma'am.
All right, Ms. Zavala?
Mr. Ryan, the placement has offered to meet in the middle once a month. And is it correct that Mom got a in-person visit recently?
Yes, ma'am. That was they have offered a few times. She did have a visit this month in person, and it was on April 11th.
Okay. And then Jace, as you were saying, was diagnosed with autism, and he's got some speech therapy going on. Is that right?
Ma'am, he's currently doing speech, play, and occupational therapy.
Okay. And when he came into care, he was essentially nonverbal, but has become much more verbal. Would you agree with that?
Correct.
And I believe in those therapy sessions, the therapists are providing some recommendations to the foster parents in how to work with him to increase his verbal skills.
Absolutely.
Okay. Would it be helpful if we could get Mom linked in and attending those therapy sessions virtually so that she can be learning those same things as well?
Yes, ma'am. I believe that could be arranged.
Okay. Did we lose
You're
someone?
talking about learning so you can bring the child home.
I'm sorry?
I'm so sorry, I wasn't muted. Excuse me.
And then, for example, some of the things that they're working with Jace are giving him examples of, do you want to do this or do you want to do this? Because that forces him to give an answer that's more than just yes or no.
Yes, ma'am.
So some simple practical things that could really help Mom interact with the child. Okay. Is there any objection to allowing her to attend any and every therapy session that could be done?
If Mom can't attend virtually, I can forward her the therapy notes as well. That could be an option for whatever reason. I'd have to look into that. I can't give you a definite answer on that, but I can definitely look into that.
That would be great. From my perspective, I would love to have Mom have all the information she can to help with the kids. It also sounds like placement would be willing to fly out to Amarillo and cover some of that cost if they had some some financial support in order to do that. Is that right?
They have offered that in the past, yes, ma'am.
Okay. But now you're saying that there is a family member that is open to having a home study?
Yes, ma'am. I reached out to the maternal grandparents. I need to verify. I haven't yet verified with them. But once I get the verification from them and I ask them and they give me their word that they're willing to do that, then we can go on with that process.
That's great. Okay. Those are all the questions I had for Mr. Ryan. Are you ready for my recommendation, Judge?
I am, yes.
Okay. The boys are doing really, really great in placement. Mom has worked really hard and we've got to make sure that she gets more time with the kids. It sounds like the beginning virtual visits were going really well at a time when mom would do books and drawings and activities with them. I think with the change in work, I don't, it sounds like she's not doing that anymore, and then they aren't being as effective. So I do think that could help hold their attention for a little longer, but I had heard the same reports that she was cutting them short because of being tired. But I think there are some workarounds to help those go a little better. I do think we should continue to do those once a month visits. I'm very interested in the home study, because as a practical matter, in order for mom to get more of the time, they're gonna have to be closer. However, with Jace's autism, I really would hate to see him bounce to another house, then bounce to another house. If we could have a home study or someplace that could be a bit more permanent, as they transition through, that would be really helpful. But I absolutely believe mom needs more contact and more information, so that she can continue working on her parenting skills with these boys.
Thank you, Ms. Ball. All right, so today, what I want to do is continue the department as temporary managing conservator, continue the children's placement. I'm going to make a finding there's a continuing danger to return the children home today, but that mom is in compliance with her family plan of service. I am going to order, so Mr. Ryan, this changes the landscape a little bit. I'm going to order that mom participate in the child's, in those speech therapy sessions, occupational, whatever you want to call them, whatever category that all they fall into. But because I think there's some very valuable information and skills that she needs to be learning before the kids come home. And I think that needs to happen pretty quickly, because if I'm also going to order that if grandparents verify, we're going to initiate an expedited home study on them. Because I want to get these kids back closer ASAP. You know, particularly with a child with special needs, it's just critically important that we have them in region, in area, and close. So I'm not a mind reader, but I am for limited purposes today. Ms. Godina, I understand. I know you want the kids to come home today. Okay. That's not going to happen, because I want you to start participating in some of these other things and start learning some of these skills for when we do get the kids closer. Because if we get them here with your parents, they're going to be transitioned over to speech therapy, occupational therapy, everything right here, which is even better, because then you can have a much more hands-on, approach to this other than just virtual. But right now, the virtual is the best we can do. So I'm going to order that happen. So everybody's got to play ball with that. Yes, sir.
I just wanted to add, the maternal grandparents, they do live in Laredo, Texas as well.
Oh, God.
They don't live in
I had
Amarillo.
somebody close.
Yes, ma'am. They do live in Laredo, Texas.
But if I may, Your Honor, I think at that point, it makes it easier for just her to it makes it a little bit closer to home, even though really nothing about the parameter changes, if that makes sense. So we'd still love for it to be considered.
Can she go and I'm tossing this out because she's done very well with her services.
Yes.
Can we set it up? If that home study's approved, anybody got any heartburn if we let her go down there on some weekends and spend the whole weekend in the same house with her parents and the kids and just start ramping this thing up. Anybody got a problem with that?
Once we get to that point, Your Honor, I don't think we will.
I think it's okay.
It'll take a little bit to get the home study and if it gets approved, so we'll be a little further down the road. So I don't think that'll be a problem once we get there.
I think that would be fine. In terms of grandparents would want to make sure before we move these boys that those services are set up there,
Yeah.
Jace is very much routine oriented. And so I know that foster parents would be willing to work with mom, grandparents, anybody in going through the routine, going through what's really been working with him, because his verbal ability has really increased. So I just want to make sure that before they're moved, we've got some continuation of services, some transfer of information so that it's as painless as possible.
Well, okay, since they're not here, okay, I mean, to me, that just changes everything.
Yeah.
Are we doing more damage than good by another move with these kids?
Maybe. I was thinking they were here and that they could work as a team all together here.
Me too.
But I do worry about the move.
So are we better off? Are we better off to just try to ramp up everything we can with mom's participation and learning some of these skills, and then just try to get to where we're going to make one move home to mom instead of the interim move?
I think a change in placement would be kind of hard on Jace, especially with his condition. And like I said, the current caregivers do really do provide for everything that both children need. But that's my take on it, Your Honor.
Okay.
Right, but at some point in time, with her and substantial compliance, arguably so far, it's not, I get that they're getting all of these things at foster parents' house, but at some point, like Judge Baker was saying, we got to get mom some reps. We got to get her reps, and we got to get them quickly, because she's been apart from these babies for a while now, which we understand why, but at some point we can't just throw them back in her lap.
And from my perspective, I think I would prefer to see, whatever we can do to support mom, get her more contact, and then make one move to her. But I don't know how practical that is, but if I had a magic wand, that's what I would prefer.
Well,
Judge, I'm so sorry to interrupt.
Okay, everybody hold on. Okay. I am now a full, almost 45 minutes behind on a very busy day. Can we reset this case? And I don't know what everybody's got going on, but I'm just asking. We've got something set tomorrow. Ms. Katie, could we stick this somewhere after that tomorrow morning? I want to give this the time that it deserves, and I don't have it today.
Yes, ma'am.
So can all of you relog back in tomorrow for, 15, 20, maybe 30 minutes?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
What kind of time are we looking at tomorrow on that?
I'm not sure about those motions. I haven't heard back from everyone. So if those go, we're probably looking at around 10:30 or 11.
Can everybody do, say, 11 o'clock?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry to do that to y'all, but I'm just, I'm
say
just watching
10:30?
things slip through my finger, and I've got lots of people waiting on us, and I just, I hate keeping people waiting like this. So I didn't know we were going to get this, bogged down in this today. So I'm sorry, but all right, let's just stop where we are. I'll see everybody at 11 o'clock tomorrow on this matter. And I'm going to give some thought about what we can do, and I want everybody else to do the same.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. My apologies, you all, but let's do that where we can give it the time that it needs.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank y'all.
Thanks.
we're resuming from yesterday, and let's see. I think we still have everybody here, other than Mr. Hill's client, who's incarcerated, and I don't think we were expecting he would be present. Is that correct, Mr. Hill?
Correct, ma'am.
Okay. All right, but Ms. Gomez is present with her client, and Ms. Zavala is present, Mr. Trout's present. Okay, so let's back up a little bit to this situation with maternal grandparents. All right, they live in Laredo. So if they're willing to do a home study, I don't mind doing the expedited home study on them. But I have some concerns, and I know from what I heard yesterday, others have got some concerns about the 2 moves versus, one move. So let's kind of look back and see what all does mom still lack. I know the counselor suggested some additional counseling just for extra support. I mean, that could be ongoing. So we've got some domestic violence classes to finish and TPC to keep up with.
Yeah, we got some more sessions with the substance abuse with Linda Dudley through TPC.
Okay, and
I know she's also doing TPC, the mental health sessions through them also.
If I may add, the mental health as well with Stephanie Vasquez. That's with TPC as well, but that's one that she has to make some progress on too.
okay, but she's done like parenting and rational behavior and some of those other ones we're done with.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
She's done her drug education and her parenting, and we have certificates on those.
Okay. Any problem with drug screens?
Don't believe so. Drug screen's been fine, haven't they, Mr. Ryan? I think the report says. Yeah, she negative drug screens up to date, what I'm showing.
All right, she's working, she's got draw some SSI, she's got food stamps, she's got stable housing. All right, transportation, have we made any headway on that?
I think, let's see.
Your Honor, my client, if I may, works very closely with the Amarillo, I think it's the Coming Home program or the Going Home program, and they provide her with transportation to almost any given situation. As of her own vehicle, my understanding right now is that she does not have one, but she does not have problems getting to any meetings with me, getting to work, anything like that at all.
Okay.
And she has, I believe, stable housing too.
In addition, I'm so sorry.
Go ahead, Brett.
Very, very briefly, in addition to the housing that Mr. Ryan's already checked in on, my client has also, in working with the Coming Home group, found another house that accepts HUD that is bigger. So there's more room for the children as well. So something else to take into consideration. She's working very closely with those individuals over at that office. Obviously, once we get that, secured and everything, the caseworker will get that address, kind of check on that, but it's all still local.
Okay.
And Judge, on top of all of this, if you remember, we were going to have that hearing last time. We still have concerns with contact with mom and dad. My understanding that it's slowed off. I have not checked on that since that hearing to make sure on that, but that was one of our big concerns due to the mental state of the mom and what she's working on and the contact that was going on. So that's one of our biggest worries and concerns as far as getting the children back in the home too soon before some of this stuff has been addressed.
And my client, based on the last hearing, fully understands now that's part and parcel of everything. It's not just doing excellent on everything else and then that. So she's happy to continue the counseling if need be. And my understanding is that all contact has been cut off. And I think he's getting transferred soon, so that will make it even more difficult for him to try and contact her.
Okay, so Ms. Godina, honest truth, what kind of contact have you been having with him?
Like, honestly, I haven't had any, sorry, I haven't had any contact with him at all because I know what's important right now is my kids. And I wanted to have the chance to talk to you myself. I also wanted to start by saying how deeply I love my children and everything I've been doing, working, going to classes, following every step that was asked of me has been for them. And I know I made mistakes in the past, but I've taken responsibility and accountability for them. And I've worked so hard to change since being a part of my kids. I've had time to reflect, grow, and to truly understand what it means to be a parent they deserve. And I've taken the classes, I kept up with my visits, stayed employed, and made my home a safe place for them. And all I want is a chance to just show you and them that I can provide a loving, safe, and nurturing home for them. But more than that, I know they need me too. I'm just here asking you to see the progress that I've made so far and the parent that I've become. I just want to be with them. I'm sorry.
So,
but I haven't had any contact with him because I know he's not healthy. Like, he's not healthy for me. He's not, and I want to keep my children safe. And if it means protecting my kids, I choose not to be with him whatsoever. I choose them over him any day because I know they come first.
okay, all right. Well, that's what we need to know. So here's what here's what I'd like to see us do is I want to get her engaged in those services with the children, or particularly, I guess, really one child, with Jace is, and for her to start seeing what they're doing, what are they working with him on, how that's working. I want to go ahead and order the home study on the maternal grandparents, but I don't want to move the kids until we're all back together and see kind of where we are with everything else. So Mr. Ryan, do you know how often those therapies are with Jace?
They're weekly.
They are weekly? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Good. Do we know when they are?
Off the top of my head, I do not.
Okay. So, Ms. Godina, I don't know, with your work schedule, do you think you can add that in a weekly session where they're, to participate virtually with his therapies?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Is it just Jace getting therapy?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. All right.
I think I could be wrong. I think Robert's getting just a little bit of OT, but he's doing really well. And I may be wrong on that, but I think Robert's getting a little bit.
That's why I asked, because I thought I had read that he was getting something, but it may be that's going to just that'll kind of take care of itself. I don't know.
And Judge, Mr. Ryan, were you able to get in touch with grandparents yesterday?
Yes, sir, I did. They said that they were willing to do a home study. So they confirmed.
I just wanted Mr. Ryan to check on that, Your Honor, to make sure, because they've kind of been back and forth on whether they wanted it or not. So
right.
This was as of yesterday. Yes,
okay.
sir.
So I guess here's my thinking is we'll do the home study, so we've got that in our hip pocket. If it appears we're gonna need it and have to make that additional move. Yeah, and I'll just tell you, Ms. Godina, that depends on your continued progress and how much more you get done, say in the next, what I want to do is I'd like to set this for another hearing in about 45 days and see how the therapies are going and see how much more progress you've made on things. And just, kind of figure out where we're at. If we think we're close enough at that point to maybe trying, to work. Well, the kids are so far away. There's not much possibility of working into reunification. It's going to be pull the trigger and bring them home, as I see it. I mean, and unless somebody from St. Francis can tell me that they've got some other magical idea out there. So, I mean, I'm thinking 45 to 60 days. I mean, our next hearing wasn't set till August, and that's a little far away. So I'd kind of like to get back together, say mid-June. So I'd Miss Katie kind of look for a date. Let's see where we are. Let's see how it's been going with Miss Godina and if she seems to be getting a handle on the therapies that they're doing with him, because all that's going to have to get transferred. If our drug screens are clean, if we're not having contact with Mr. Lara, or if we are making our appointments at TPC and we're wrapping up the other services, all that's looking good, then, I think then we kind of accelerate our what might be normal, but I think we kind of accelerate and then we maybe get the kids home and see how it goes. Counseling, that can be ongoing. She can continue to do that once the kids are home. She can continue to do TPC once the kids are home. There's a lot of these things she can move forward with, and I would want her to move forward. So I want Ms. Godina to understand, just, we're not going to just drop the kids off and we're going to disappear. That ain't going to happen. And if anything, Ms. Godina, we're going to be more up in your business, if and when the kids come home than we are right now. I can tell you that they'll be out there on a weekly basis and maybe more than that. So, let's just see what we can do in that interim. So Ms. Katie's saying June 12th at 9:00. That's my feeling. Leave the kids where they are right now. Let's get her engaged in the therapies. So let's let her continue to hopefully make progress. Ms. Godina, I'm telling you, they're going to be checking those jail records and phone calls and all that stuff to, verify what you've told us. So, I certainly hope you're being truthful with me about that, because, lying to me once about it was not good. Lying to me a second time about it's really not going to be good. And then get the home study going. So, all right, Ms. Zavala, I'm interested in your position about that.
Yes, Your Honor. I mean, this is a hard situation. Mom is doing, she's making progress. She's doing what we're asking of her. I am very hesitant about moving the kids too early, but at the same time, we've got to be moving forward. I think this sounds reasonable. I really hope she's able to participate in those therapies. I think there's some really good practical suggestions that are being talked about, and I know that the foster home is able to incorporate those, and we just want to make sure she's got that same information, so that, for Jace especially, that it's a smooth transition. I don't want to put more on her plate, but I know that June 12th, the issues that I'm going to ask about are, how is this going to work practically? When you go to work, who's going to keep the kids? Where are the kids going to be? What's the care situation? What's the transportation to getting them to that care situation? So I want to lay that out front so that it's not a surprise when we get here. I mean, we've got to, if we're looking at actually moving the kids at that point, we've got to have a flushed out plan. But it makes sense to me to be headed that direction.
Yeah, and just because we have a hearing on June, whatever, Miss Katie, 12, doesn't mean the kids, I mean, I want Ms. Godina to be clear. That doesn't mean the kids may necessarily come home that day. It may be that, you know, it may be several weeks from that date. I mean, it's really going to depend. We got to have it's exactly what Mrs. Zavala said. We've got to have a plan. Ms. Gomez knows what I'm talking about. Listen to her. She can help guide you with this, but we got to know who's going to be taking care of the kids when you're at work, you know, what daycare, and then, you know, the department or St. Francis can help us determine who's going to take over, you know, Jace's therapies, because that will still be contracted through the department. So, you know, I would like to look at, all right, we got a wait list for that? If we do, can we get on the wait list? Can we, you know, can we get a jump start on that so that we aren't, you know, we don't get the kids here and then we don't have anything in place for him. So, you know, I'm not, don't take what I'm saying that I intend to bring the children home on June 12th. I don't know yet. But I want to check in on all of this and then decide, okay, either we're ready to bring them or we're still a few weeks away from that, or maybe a month for that. But I think everybody understands what I'm saying. Anybody got any doubt in their mind about what we're talking about here?
No, ma'am, Your Honor. I would just say I understand you got to make sure everything's good with the kids before that's done. And Mom has been working with us. Mom has been doing pretty good. We do have the situation. What my biggest concern is in this, and Ms. Gomez and I have talked about this. Some of the statements Mom made, I just want to make sure that Mom is getting the help on that and getting her head right, because we cannot get these children home with Jace's problems in the work that he has to have and care that he has to have. I do not want Mom to be overwhelmed and fall back where she was quickly. So we got to make sure that she is getting that addressed in her counseling and in her therapies, because it's never going to work if she is not solid mentally on what's going to happen.
100% agree.
And that is our biggest concern. So, and I understand where the court's looking and what we have to move to with Mom working and doing her services at this point. But until we can verify that's going to be our main concern going forward, is that mentally Mom is gotten the help and is where she needs to be for what's coming of it.
Yep. I mean, 100%. I agree. And so I understand that we're looking at some of these things maybe earlier than we do in some of our cases, but in all fairness, Mom has jumped in and has, you know, done a little more for us than what we are in some cases. So I think we just have to look at it. But I just, you know, Ms. Godina, I'm not making you any promises. I can't be more clear about that. It's just going to all depend on where are we on June 12th, and then what do we feel like we need to do at that point. So, you know, you need to start thinking about, what does your support system look like? Who's going to be a backup caregiver? You know, not just daycare, but who else could you call on an evening or a weekend or something if you need help? You know, if you're just feeling a little overwhelmed and need to get out of the house for a few hours, you know, who is it that you're going to call? Who's going to be there? And we need to start talking about those people. We need those names. We got to run background checks on those folks. As long as we're involved and the state has custody of the children, they got a say in who's going to be around the children. And if the kids come home, they're just coming home and they're just placed with you. It's not like you immediately get legal custody back, because you're not. The state will still have custody. and we'll still have control. So, the kids can be taken out of your home again just as fast as we put them back. So, we got to be sure you're ready and that you've got a good solid plan in place. Okay, anybody have anything else as far as what we do today? Thinking about this, I just don't know what else to do, but just try to take another look at it. But I don't think waiting until August 19th is necessarily best interest of the kids.
I think that's what we had in mind, Your Honor, best case scenario, considering if the progress continues as it's been going, of course. So,
Ms. Sessions, I'm going to just ask you, assume we've had no luck, obviously, in finding any kind of placement in Region 1.
No, ma'am. And that has been an ongoing request since the children were placed in the Austin area, and everyone has said no due to Jace's needs.
Yeah. Okay. We knew that wasn't going to be an easy task, but all right.
And just so I can ask, Ms. Sessions, is there anything else you need addressed, you think needs to be addressed today?
No, I think that pretty much covers it. I think that with her going to these weekly therapies, like we're also going to want to see some like summaries of what she's learning and her being able to have those conversations with Sean, like that she's taking notes and she's able to regurgitate the information. Because it's one thing to sit in these sessions, but it's a completely different thing to come out of those and be able to recite what it is that you've learned and how you're going to put that into practice. So that's going to be a big focus with Sean when he's meeting with her, and he probably will be meeting with her like starting now going forward until June much more regularly when she's in these therapies to kind of keep up with that information.
Okay.
The other question I did have, and I hadn't addressed it today. Did somebody say something yesterday that placement is willing, if mom can get down there, that they're willing to supervise some contact?
They actually did supervise the visitation when mom they met in Abilene, and they supervised that visitation, and they're willing to continue to do that.
They've told me they're willing to do it on a monthly basis. They're also willing to, fly all the way here, but they're footing the bill for when they meet in Abilene, and then, and they stay in a hotel so that it's not back and forth. They're willing to pay, it sounded like up to about $500 to come all the way here if somebody can kind of make up the difference for that. I think they want to be able to give mom opportunities to be more hands-on, but it is that difficulty and cost of the location.
So is it feasible, Ms. Godina, is it feasible for you to make another trip to Abilene to meet them?
I could.
Can you get somebody to take you there or get transportation to go there?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. I'm going to let y'all try to work out some of those details, but if we can get another in-person, visit set up, maybe after we've had several of these sessions, so that then mom can be, face to face with the child and work some of those things during that visitation time. If they can get together and spend several hours together, so she has an opportunity to try to demonstrate, and placement can certainly help. Ms. Godina, you take the, take their advice and their help in that regard. They're the ones doing it day in and day out right now. Let them guide you and work with you on, okay, here's a better way to do this with him, or here's how we're doing this and how we're getting results with him. So, listen to what they've got to say, and take that to heart. That these folks are not the enemy, clearly. They're doing a good job with the kiddos, and so, sounds like their hearts couldn't be any more in the right place. Based on their willingness to do some of these things for you. So, let's take advantage of that. Okay. All right, then today I'm going to continue the department as temporary managing conservator and continue the children's placement. I find a continuing danger to return the children home today, but I do find mom is in compliance with her family plan of service. I would also make a finding that Mr. Lara is not in compliance. I am going to order that mother would participate in the speech. I'm saying speech therapy. That may not be the right word, but in the therapy sessions with Jace virtually. And I'm going to order the expedited home study on the maternal grandparents, but no move to be made at this time. In-person visit can occur, if that can be arranged, but I would like to give it at least several weeks, before, so she can learn some of these things. Okay. Then, like I said, we'll get back together June 12th.
Yes, ma'am.
Ideally, if we could set up for mom to have a visit sometime around the first part of June, that I think would be about an ideal time frame for that to happen. And we'll see how all that goes. And then we can talk about it in June. Okay. All right, so we'll have a review hearing. June 12th on the 9 o'clock docket. I think that's it. Can anybody else think of anything else?
I think we discussed what we needed to, Your Honor.
Okay. I really appreciate everybody coming back today, because I just felt like we were just so pressed and so rushed yesterday, and it's just not a good way to resolve anything. So I really, really appreciate everybody logging back in today and taking time to do this. All right. Hope everything goes really well the next several weeks, and I'll see you soon.
Thank you, Judge.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Judge.
Y'all have a good afternoon.
Thanks, Judge. See you next.
We'll go ahead and take announcements then.
Daniel Trow for the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. Sean Ryan is the permanency specialist. We're present ready, Your Honor.
Your Honor, Meredith Graff appearing for Udira Godina, the mother. And we.
Jeff Hill on behalf of Roberto Lara. Judge, he's not present. I haven't had any contact with him since the last hearing. He was in the Potter County Jail, and I don't see him there anymore. I haven't heard from him since. So,
Stacy Zavala on behalf of the boys.
All right.
Okay.
And probably everybody's figured this out, but Ms. Godina is logged in also under Ms. Groff's name, but she is present. Okay, then let's see, who are we gonna have an update from? Mr. Ryan?
Mr. Ryan, Your Honor.
Sorry.
That's all right.
Okay. So yeah, the kids are doing well in placement. They're thriving. They're happy. Jace just got accepted into his special education for pre-K, and his therapies are still ongoing as well. For his special education autism, but the kids are both, like I said, kids are both doing good in therapy, and they're thriving.
Okay, and what about parental progress?
Mom has just completed TPC with Linda Dudley on June 11th. She's completed parenting as well, DV as well. Individual therapies are still ongoing, and the mental health sessions are also ongoing.
All right, are we good on housing and job and transportation?
She does have a house through HUD. She does have a job right now as well. And she currently does not have transportation. Dad is in TDCJ jail right now as well.
Okay, do you know what unit he's in?
Off the top of my head, I don't.
Judge, I think I looked it up to that. I want to say the Lindsay unit, down in Jacksboro, I think is where it is.
Okay, so he's obviously transferred out then,
Yes,
Mr.
yes, ma'am. I think he was transferred out end of April.
Okay. All right, just trying to give Mr. Hill some help on where to locate him.
Yes, ma'am. And I believe that was the unit I saw, for him.
All right, and prior to his incarceration, Mr. Ryan, had he worked any services?
No, ma'am. Yeah, he had not. I had given him a parenting and anger management packet in when he was here in Potter, and I had yet to receive those back.
Okay. All right, and so as far as mom's compliance, she's in compliance with her service plan.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
She's been compliant with St. Francis.
All right, and so she has completed a relapse prevention plan, I think I read, and her drug screens have been negative, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right.
Judge, I got a few questions.
Mhm.
Mr. Ryan, do you know have you discussed contact with mom and dad since dad was transferred out?
I have not discussed that with her. She last time we have talked about it, she told me, or she told us all that she had not. She would quit the contact with that. Yes, sir.
Okay, and that was in the last hearing. She said that.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Darren, you said that she's still ongoing with her mental health
Yes, sir.
treatments and stuff. How are those going? Have you received any notes? Therapy stuff?
They are going well. She's starting to mention some of the things that she does struggle with in terms of her mental health. And this last recent session that she did have, Stephanie reported that she did mention, started to mention calls that she did have with dad in prison. So that was a plus, but those are ongoing as well. So there's not a specific amount that she has to complete. She just has to keep going until she's discharged.
Okay, all right. But she is starting to open up more and they're trying to make some progress on some of that.
Yes, sir. I do want to mention that she did call dad during the face-to-face visit as well. At their last in-person visit that they had in Abilene when placement her met halfway.
Okay. Anything else as far as mom that we need to discuss?
I don't believe so at this time.
Okay. We had a home study ordered on grandparents.
Yes, sir.
And what is the status of that home study?
As far as I know, is denied. The reason being, I'm not sure. I don't approve or deny the home studies.
Okay. All right. And I believe I got an email last night waiting on a redacted file, redacted copy so that it can be e-filed.
Yes, sir.
Okay. But the home study was denied.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And Judge, I don't know if we want to get into it. I got an email from Ms. Sessions on a list of why it was being denied. I don't know if we want to go through that or just wait till it's filed and everybody can look at it.
Well, are they the kind of things that could possibly be corrected, or are we talking about a lot of problems?
There's some pretty good problems as far as grandparents when they were raising mom. Mom was removed. There's a bunch of RBTs, or at least a couple, and some pretty serious ones. Then there was some multiple arrests as far as grandfather throughout the years from 2000 up to 2016. Some domestic violence issues in there. I don't know the outcomes of those cases. I just know he did have arrests for multiple At least 3 of the 5 were domestic violence against family members. Neither grandparent has any knowledge or experience with dealing with a child with autism. Grandmother runs her business, a hair salon, out of the house and out of one of the bedrooms in the house. They can't verify incomes. They got a 24-year-old son that I believe lives freely in the house with them. So some of the things could be fixed. Some of them, as far as the past history on this, I don't believe can be, Your Honor.
Okay, well, since it hasn't been filed yet, then obviously no one else has had an opportunity to look at it. So why don't we kind of just table it, let everybody take a look at it, and then if anybody wants to have a placement hearing on that, then you can let us know and we can get something scheduled.
Yes, ma'am.
And then I'll take a look at it in advance, and so we can discuss it.
Yes, ma'am. And on that, Your Honor, I haven't even seen it. This is just a kind of a rundown of what I got from my clients on it. So,
gotcha. I understand. That just gives me just a generic idea of kind of what the issues are. So,
yes,
okay.
ma'am.
All right. All right then. Anything else, Mr. Ryan or Mr. Trout? Any further questions?
Ms. Ryan, how are visitations going right now? What are we looking at on those?
From what I've received from placement, it kind of varies. The in-person visit that she recently just had was fairly positive. The one that, and I did supervise that one as well.
Okay.
The ones in regards to Zoom that she has on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, they fluctuate. I've heard from placement that, because placement do see and watch her interact with the children as well. And I have gotten notes from the visit monitors themselves. Those aren't specifically detailed, but what I've had from placement is what they've told me. That there's days that mom has her days where she's not very interactive with the children. That she just came home from work and she's been very tired, for instance. And that's kind of a little bit of a concern too, because the visits are 30 minutes long, virtually. And I know it is hard with kids, being so little and all. But in the beginning, she was doing very good. Like, she was singing to him, reading to him, and maintaining that kind of connection. And that kind of diminished over time, is what has been reported to me.
Okay. All right. But you said there was an in-person visit recently? There
was, yes, sir. Placement came down here last weekend, or last week, I should say, and we had a visit on Friday, I believe it was. So they flew down here Thursday, left, had the visit Friday, left Friday night.
Okay. All right. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
And let me just take the opportunity, so I don't fail to do it, but to placement, thank you all so much for your, above and beyond efforts in this regard, as far as trying to facilitate visitation between mom and the children. I truly, truly appreciate what you all have done. Okay, Ms. Groff.
Thank you, Your Honor. I talked to Ms. Gadira recently, and she did tell me about all the different services that she's completed and those that are still ongoing. And it appears to me that she's doing a really great job. She's working really hard. She told me that she's cut off contact with the father. She recognizes that he's a toxic individual and he can't be in her life anymore. She is very committed to her sobriety, and she's working on getting a vehicle. There's a fellow she works with who has a truck that just needs a new battery. So she's been saving up so that she can buy this truck from her coworker. So she is working on a transportation plan. She understands that with her children's needs and whatever, she is going to have a vehicle. And just walking from where she lives, I saw her house because I took her home from her job one night because we had a visit over at her job when her shift was over. And she lives a ways away. So if she were to walk, it would be like 30 minutes. And so she understands that she really needs that vehicle. So that's a big goal for her right now, is to get the vehicle. She's doing great in her job. We got wage stubs provided. Her manager was able to send me a couple of wage stubs, and I got those over to Mr. Ryan this week. And if there's any need for any more, I can certainly get those to him. But she enjoys her coworkers. She's in good standing with her manager. So it's a great opportunity for her to have a community that is clean and sober and committed to working and self-support. I know one of the big problems that people have when they come out of an addiction and a use type of situation is it's hard to find a new community. And I believe that her job is providing her coworkers are providing her a new community so that she can be around people who are also positively focused on doing good things in their own lives. And I think that's really important for her ongoing success. I would like to ask the court to consider more visits for her. I know it's a big issue for the placement to have to provide in-person visits for her, but I think that it's very hard to interact with a baby and a toddler, especially the toddler who has autism. I know young children, it's hard generally for young children to interact on Zoom, but especially her children where she's got a baby and a toddler with autism. Zoom is just not going to be a good format for visits. And to the extent that more visits could be done in person, I think that would be really good. This was the first in-person visit she'd had in several months. And I think that's really hard for a parent of young children as well as for the young children to not have seen their mother in such a long time. So that is what we'd like to see. And to the extent that the visits could be less supervised, more monitored, that would be also helpful. I think she's doing a good job in all aspects of her life. We talked about the counseling and how her part in how this case started, and she's very well aware of the choices that she made and choices she's made previously in her life that got her to where she is now. And she doesn't want to continue with that. She wants to make a change in her life, and she's been working hard to make those changes. And I think that the court can see just from Mr. Ryan's report that she's doing very well. And I do believe that she's going to continue to do well as we move forward in the next few months in this case. So I think that generally the court should recognize that she's making great progress. And I appreciate the opportunity to be able to share all this with the court today. Thank you.
Let me ask you a question, because at our last hearing, I had indicated that I really wanted her to participate in some of the therapies with Jace. Mr. Ryan, you may be the one to answer that. I don't know. Placement may be the one, but how did that go?
I talked to her name's Haley, the one that does Jace's therapies. I talked to her, and Yadira, one thing that she did hit was that Yadira didn't want she didn't want her to interrupt during those therapies that much. She just wanted to just strictly watch and see how it goes, and see how it is. You know what I mean? But she's been to 3 so far. That's what she reported to me yesterday.
Okay, and so we're going to continue with that.
Yes, and I might also add, she was doing substance abuse on Mondays. Jace has his therapies Mondays and Wednesdays, so she wasn't able to get to the Monday ones. That being said, now that she's done with the substance abuse classes, she will be able to, as far as I understand, she'll be able to attend the Mondays and Wednesdays now. That shouldn't be a problem. But she was only able to attend mainly Wednesdays because that schedule conflicted with one of her other services that she had to complete for us.
I'm sorry, I was muted. So that, I mean, I'm glad she's gonna get to participate in more of those. All right, and, I just don't know. I'm not sure how we can accommodate more in person. We've talked about this before. I mean, kids are in a great placement and we don't want to disrupt that. Mr. Ryan, go ahead.
Yes, ma'am. Sorry. I also did speak to placement, and they are willing to come down at least twice a month. From the last time I did speak to them in person when we had the visit last week. And they said if it would be possible, if they could, if they do that, if they could get a little bit of help in regards to that. I just said that I would have to ask for sure, but they are willing to come at least twice a month to do an in-person visit while continuing the virtual visits as well.
Okay, that's remarkable. I mean, can we assist them? Are you
Wonderful.
all talking about driving, flying?
I would have to staff with my supervisor on that. I don't exactly know how to answer that question right now.
Miss Sessions, any?
I'm not sure what kind of financial assistance there is available, but we do have a couple of different departments within St. Francis that have monies available. So I would just have to look further into that and see what that assistance would look like. I'm not saying no, but I'm not saying yes, but we can definitely look to see what kind of reimbursement we can put in place for them traveling with the children.
Okay. I think if there's anything that we can do, I mean, it's an extremely generous offer and a lot of their time and so yeah, if we can do it, that's great. I mean, I would think, Ms. Groff, that would be phenomenal if we could do that twice a month. I'm not gonna hold them to it. I mean, if there may be some months where that's just not feasible. So, let's do it if we can, and if St. Francis can assist in some ways, that's even better. But I'm not gonna order them to do it, twice a month. I just don't. Number one, I'm not sure really. I feel like I can do that, but I think that's overreaching. But if we can do that, that would be wonderful. And maybe those visits can. I don't know where y'all did them before, but they're. I don't know if you're doing like at a park or, somewhere where there's a playground or, whatever. I would think supervision, of those can be obviously, doesn't have to be somebody's right next to the children at all moments, give mom some time and some independence with the kids. But anyway, I appreciate it again. I can't thank you all enough for your willingness to do that. All right, Mr. Hill, anything to report?
No, ma'am.
All right, then Ms. Zavala?
Your Honor, I just have a clarification question. Sean, our last hearing was on the 22nd, and you were saying that the first in-person visit on the 11th, mom had FaceTime dad and put the kids on with dad?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and then I couldn't tell from the notes. Are you saying that happened again last week?
No, sorry. That was not
Okay.
last week. Yeah, that was just I believe April 11th was the last visit. Correct me if I'm wrong. But it was during that visit that they met in Abilene that occurred.
Okay, so it's not that it happened again
No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
at the recent.
And I was supervising the most recent visit, so that did not occur at all.
Okay. Your Honor, in terms of thoughts and recommendations, I'm extremely thankful to placement. I feel like they've gone over and above. I am impressed with what mom has done and continues to do, and I hope she continues to do that. I'm really glad that she's been able to participate in the ECI or the therapy stuff. And I feel like that's really pretty key in this, is her learning as much as she can from those therapies so that she can implement that herself. I don't know if there's any kind of way that we could do a session maybe where Jace isn't there, and it's just mom and the therapist talking about questions and strategies and like more interactive. I don't know if there's a way to set that up. It sure seems like that would be helpful. I mean, it's great for her to watch what's going on, but I think it would be really helpful to have that interaction with a therapist about, okay, when I have him, what do I need to do? What are some skills? So I don't know if it's possible to set up, some sessions with her directly. And I honestly don't know how to handle the more in-person visits. I mean, I do know that placement has offered, but I think that may be contingent on some financial support. It is a huge financial hit every time they come here. And I don't know that they can do that without some assistance. I don't know if this is a case that groups like Amarillo Angels or something who work with foster placements, if they might have any resources to help with some things like that. I have no idea. But I can reach out and see if that might be a possibility. Because it is going to be important for her to have more contact. I just don't know how to structure that. Oh, you're on mute, Judge.
I don't know if it would be beneficial to get CASA into the case. I don't know that, don't know that they could assist with that. I just don't know the answer to that. But I might just contact one of the directors over there and visit about that and just see if they've got any funding that could assist us with that.
Judge, there also is there's Amarillo Angels, but there's also Austin's Angels. So that might be something else that we could look into that could assist the foster family since they live in Austin.
Okay. All right. I will check with CASA if you all will follow up with the Amarillo Angels and or Austin Angels. And just see what we can find out. And then I'll just report back to either Ms. Zavala and or Ms. Sessions or both. About what I find out. Okay. So we'll see what we can do and what we can come up with.
Yes.
All right.
In your honor, if I may, if I could ask Ms. Godina a couple of questions.
Sure. Ms. Godina, can you unmute for me?
Okay. Yes.
And I didn't know, your honor, if we were swearing her in today or not.
I'll swear her in if you want me to.
Okay, yes,
All right.
ma'am.
Ms. Godina, raise your right hand for me. You solemnly swear from the testimony you'll give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you may proceed.
Ms. Godina, you've heard us talk about visitations, and one of the first in-person visits, you FaceTime with Dad, correct?
Correct.
And you did do that?
Yes.
Okay, and you knew you were not supposed to be doing that?
Yes.
Okay. Now that happened on the April 11th visit, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. We had a hearing on the 23rd of April, so a couple weeks later. It was put on the record at that point that you were not having any contact with Dad, correct?
Correct.
Are you having contact with Dad now?
I had cut off contact with him
When?
since the last court hearing because even it took me a while, but I finally realized. I'm sorry. Because I finally realized that everything I've done has been for them. And I decided that I do not want him in my life anymore because every time I spoke to him, it was unhealthy. And I was always stressed. I was always angry. So I had to it was hard for me to stop and And I finally came to, I actually had I had the strength to start contact with him because I now know that my kids are more important than him. And everything I've done has always been for my kids. So if I have to reassure you guys, I will. And I promise I don't want to go back to that lifestyle. I don't want him in my life. I don't want him with my children. I don't, because I worry about their safety and for mine. So I haven't talked to him since, and I don't plan on doing that anymore. I don't plan on having him in my life anymore.
And Ms. Godina, I hope that is sincere and that happens. We've had a couple of times in this case where you've told us that you have cut off contact with him.
I mean, I
Like this
understand.
instance,
I am sorry, and I have lied. Yes, I have told you that I stopped, but I'm telling you sincerely from my bottom of my heart that I am telling you the truth this time, that I don't talk to him whatsoever.
okay. And you're telling us today you've had no contact with him since he went to state prison.
Yes, sir.
The last contact with him was the day before he shipped out.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So if I subpoena those records from the state, I'm not going to see your number or any contact or visitation logs with you.
No, you won't.
Okay. I'll pass witness, Your Honor.
All right, anybody else have any questions for Ms. Godina?
No, Your Honor.
Ms. Godina, let me just say, and it's, I really hope that you have put him in the rearview mirror because he's done nothing but cause problems for you. Not only in this case, but in many other respects. But the other thing is we don't want you to replace him with another one just like him. And that's what that domestic violence class, is about, and about you not falling into the same pattern again and falling into that situation again. So our concern is not just about, about the father in this case. Our concern is that moving forward, you make better decisions and better choices, and that you put your children, at the very highest priority when you make decisions. So you understand what the concern is.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right.
And Judge, on that line of questioning, the only reason I wanted to ask those questions was if we're going to be going to more in-person visits and stuff, our concern is the constant telling us not in contact and then is actually in contact when we pull the calls. So as long as everything's going good like it is, the monitored in-person visits are fine, but I just don't want to find out again that we're having this issue.
Yeah, it's Ms. Godina. I mean, let me tell you, I don't know how many times this happens, but I have a parent tell me that, oh, they're not having any contact, but these people have special investigators and people that are professionals at snooping around and finding out about things. And so, if you're having contact, that all gets recorded through the prison system. That includes incoming mail, that includes any telephone contact. I don't even know what you would be even permitted to have with him, but certainly if you went to visit him, and so they keep records of all that stuff. So, if you go back on what you're telling us and you have that kind of contact, let me just assure you, somebody's gonna find out about it. And then they're gonna do just exactly what's happened in, prior hearings and this. You're gonna get confronted with that and you're gonna get caught in a lie. And, the longer that goes into this case, the more serious the consequences of that become. Yeah. I think everybody here understands that when you're trying to get out of that situation, it's very difficult at first. So I think we all feel that there's a little grace to be given to you to try to work through it. And that's what we need to see, that you are working through it and that you are sticking by what you tell us you're going to do. So Okay, anybody have anything further?
I have nothing further, John.
All right, then, today I'm going to continue the department as temporary managing conservator of both children, and I'm going to continue their placement. I find that there would be a continuing danger to return the children home to the mother at this time. Obviously, we can't return the children to the father. And that mother is in compliance with her family plan of service. Mr. Laura is not. We'll do our very best to try to increase the in-person visits with Ms. Godina as long as everything's going well. Ms. Godina, I encourage you to get as hands-on as you can with Jace's therapist, you know, about the therapies that he gets and all that. I know it's really hard when it's virtual, but you know, if we need to arrange some one-on-one time with her and this therapist, I'm all about it. So, you know, it's one thing to sit back and watch, but it's another to do. And I know you aren't there in person, but try to get as involved in it as you can. Ask questions. You know, I don't think that therapist is going to consider, if you're asking questions, they're not going to consider that an interruption. So, you know, don't hesitate to really get involved in it. Because that all of that is really going to be important when we start talking about sending the kids home. Okay. All right. Obviously, I'm going to expect the department to continue to use reasonable efforts to reunify the family. And we will come back for our next review hearing on August 19th of 2025. And that'll be on a 9 o'clock docket. So, Ms. Godina, I just to give you some focus, right now our dismissal date in this case is November 3rd. So what we're looking for is to have all your services completed and you maintaining stability, sobriety, standing on your own 2 feet, you know, showing during your visits that you have learned from some of these therapy sessions, you know, how to help Jace when he has his moments. You know, from this point on, I mean, it's really more about looking at that big picture and what is it going to look like when we send the kids back to mom? Because right now that's the goal and that's what we want to do. So between now and November, I just want you to know what the focus is. Okay?
Okay.
Okay. All right. Then I'll see everybody back in August. We'll see how things are going. You know, come August, Ms. Godina, I mean, if things are still going well, I mean, that's the time where we're going to start talking about, can we reunify? Can we get the kids home? Can we work the kids in? You know, and see how you do with them between that point in time and November. So it's, you know, what happens between now and August is really important as far as a timeline about when the kids might come home. Okay. I'll see y'all back then. Thank you all very much. I'll check in with CASA about this issue and then we'll try to email and let everybody know what we find out.
Yes, ma'am. Judge, may I speak to Ms. Sessions before she gets away?
Sure. All right, everybody else is free to go. Thank you all very much, and I hope you all have Okay, so you ready for the fastest prove up ever?
Well, and that was what I was supposed to ask. I know Ms. Sapien responded. Mr. Morales?
Dang it. Sorry. I'm sorry. I meant to reply this morning. I'm unopposed. I was rushing out of court. I had a 9 o'clock hearing in Canyon.
Okay. So you're good with that?
Yes, I am.
Okay. All right. And I believe TD, he not here today, but I believe he'll be fine with it. I'll just let the court know on that. Thank you.
We're here for our final. We're conducting this through Zoom under a finding of good cause and agreement of the parties. We're live streaming. Ms. Galvan is making our record. Okay, we'll take announcements.
Daniel Trial for the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. We're present ready, Your Honor.
Bailey Sapien on behalf of Tyshika Brown. My client is not present. I do not expect her, but I'm ready.
Jerry Morales on behalf of Respondent Father Tyrell Hughes, Your Honor. I don't believe my client will be present. He has executed an affidavit of relinquishment, so I am ready.
Sean Ryan, Permanency Specialist at St. Francis Ministries.
All right. And Mr. Hammonds is not present, but he has filed a report with the court recommending that the department accept relinquishments. We'll get into that, I guess, when we have finished up, but he has communicated his recommendations.
And Your Honor, with that, since we'll be proving up relinquishments, I've just emailed out and discussed with Ms. Sapien and Ms. Morales as far as if everybody's good, having the court take judicial notice of the affidavit of removal and the testimony from prior hearing. To them, there's been no objection. I never heard back from Mr. Hammonds on that, but I'm assuming with his recommendation of proceeding, he wouldn't have an issue with that. But I would put that in front of the court.
All right. I would take it as well that he would not have any objection to that based on his written recommendations. Okay, so there being no objection, then I will take judicial notice of both voluntary affidavits of relinquishment of parental rights, which have been executed by Tyshika Brown and by Tyrell Hughes with respect to the child, Deshane.
And as to the testimony for the removal, Your Honor.
Also, I'm sorry, I'll take judicial notice of the affidavit in support of removal in an emergency of the children. And the contents of that. Okay, Mr. Trout, then you can call your first witness.
Yes, ma'am. And with that, Your Honor, since I'm not going to do testimony on the removal, Ms. Hernandez-Pineda was here to testify to that if we can release her. I know she's been waiting on us, so I apologize about that, but I don't believe I'll need her testimony today.
All right, counsel, any objections?
No objection.
No objection.
All right, Ms. Hernandez-Pineda, thank you very much for your patience. You're free to go.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you, Smart.
Yes, sir.
And are you the permanency specialist on that case?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Did the mother, Tyshika Brown, execute an affidavit of voluntary relinquishment on the 15th day of November 2024?
Yes, sir.
Have you had the opportunity to review that?
Yes, sir.
Did the respondent mother sign the affidavit?
Yes, sir.
Were there two witnesses?
Yes, sir.
Was it notarized?
Yes, sir.
Did the department consent to being the designated managing conservator of the child?
Yes, sir.
Was it filed with the court on December 10th of 2024?
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, I'd ask to admit into evidence exhibit number 1. It's the affidavit of voluntary relinquishment that was just testified to.
No objection.
Any objection? I heard Ms. Sapien.
No objection.
All right, then petitioner's exhibit 1 will be admitted.
Mr. Ryan, thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Ryan, are you asking the court to terminate the parental rights of Tyshika Brown as to the child based solely upon the affidavit of voluntary relinquishment?
Sir.
Are you willing to waive all other grounds alleged?
Yes, sir.
And do you believe that's in the best interest of the child?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Exhibit number 2, Mr. Ryan, did the dad, Tyrell Hughes, execute an affidavit of voluntary relinquishment as to the child, Deshane, on the 3rd day of April 2025?
Yes, sir.
You had an opportunity to review that relinquishment?
Yes, sir.
Did the respondent father, Tyrell Hughes, sign that relinquishment?
Yes, sir.
Were there two witnesses?
Yes, sir.
Was it notarized?
Yes, sir.
Has the department consented to being the designated managing conservator of the child?
Yes, sir.
And was this affidavit of voluntary relinquishment filed on April 4th of 2025?
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, I'd ask to admit exhibit number 2 into evidence as the affidavit that was testified to.
No objection.
No objection.
All right, petitioner's exhibit 2 will be admitted.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Can we have a bench conference?
Yes.
Everybody stayed in there. We'll just hop back in that room.
In 1. I mean, in 3. Okay. We are here today for our final in this case. And this case has been extended already. The dismissal date is April 25th.
Judge, Ms. Kirkpatrick's still in the breakout room. I'm going to move her.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Thank you. I forgot she was still in there.
I did too. Thank you, Rachel.
Yeah.
Well, tell them I'm having you're
Apparently I received a text from Lorna that she was about to have to go in an ambulance to the hospital, and then she wanted me to relay that to you guys.
Okay, we're trying to get her back in here.
I believe
Still logged in.
I believe her mother Tanya is actually logged in, Judge, and is with her.
Well, I still show her on a separate device.
She is. I think she just can't manage it. But Miss Kadera could.
I'm here.
There you are. Is she with you, ma'am?
Yes, she is. She is.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. All right. I'm just calling. I'm going to call the case to take just to make a quick announcement. So, all right. So we're here today for our final in this case. And the case has been extended. Our dismissal date is April 25th. So just in a couple of days. All right. My understanding is that relinquishments are sort of en route. And so we're going to recess until 1:30, which time we can resume and just do a quick prove up on those. Parents would not be required to reappear at 1:30 unless they just want to. Also, I believe Mr. Trout thought that Ms. Lucero would not need to return at 1:30. I think counsel, we'll get this on the record, have agreed to stipulate to the affidavit of removal. So, all right, present today, Mr. Trout for the department. Ms. Grant is present for the mother, Lorna Kirkpatrick. Mr. Nowak is present for Duncan Kirkpatrick. And Ms. Zavala is present on behalf of the children. So, just real quickly, counsel, Ms. Grant, Mr. Novak, and Ms. Zavala, you all have in a bench conference told the court that you would stipulate to the affidavit of removal in the protection of a child that was filed with the court. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes, Judge.
Yes.
All right, Ms. Lucero, your attendance will not be required at 1:30. I appreciate your patience. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you,
as long as we get those relinquishments executed, then between now and 1:30, Ms. Kirkpatrick nor Mr. Kirkpatrick would be required to return, but you certainly may. So,
Tanya, were y'all able to get that done?
Yeah, she's got it done, and then we're just gonna have to scan it and get that back to you.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
okay, all right, then I'm just going to leave the feed up in case somebody. I'm going to basically be close by. If somebody needs to yell at me, whatever in the background, give me a minute or two, and I'll get to my computer and respond. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, let me, when we break, let me speak to my clients real quick again.
Sure. Okay. All right. Everybody else you're free to, you can either stay right where you are. If you want to log out and log back in, that's fine too, whatever you want to do.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you.
Thank you, Judge.
Tanya, Lorna does not have to come back at 1:30 as long as you get me that document, as the judge stated. And go ahead and take care. I know she's having a medical issue after I spoke with her. I understand that. So as soon as I get that document, please just take care of her. She's not required to be here at 1:30. I'll take care of 1:30.
Thank you. Appreciate it. I'll get that to you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. And you can call my office if you need me.
Thank you so much. Well, do you know if they'll still be able to talk about me being part of that CPA, that case that's ongoing?
I did speak with Mr. Trout about that, Tanya, and you may contact the caseworker and have grandparent visits after this hearing today, and they will set you up.
Okay.
And you are allowed to request that, and they don't object to you requesting that. Just contact the caseworker to set that up.
Thank you so much. We'll get that to you.
Uh-huh.
Thank
Okay,
you.
Ms. Lopez and Ms. Lane, Mr. Trout wants you all to rejoin room 1, if you would, please.
I can put on a robe.
Hold on 1 second, Daniel, okay?
Okay.
We let Vince judge us. He's pretty nice.
The older I get, the less I judge.
Me too. It's because the more I know about myself, and I don't want to be on the receiving end, so I try to be a little bit nice.
Oh, listen, yeah, there's just too much in my past, too much fodder. I don't want to give anyone the chance.
Yeah, we don't want people digging through our closets, right?
There you go.
All right, sorry, I just started a phone call. What were you guys needing?
That's all right. Could you put Stacy and I in a breakout, Stacy Grant and I in a breakout room real quick?
Yes. Okay, Daniel, you can go back to room 1 and I'll just move Stacy. And you want Stacy Grant?
Correct.
Okay, there you go.
Looks like got Mr. Trout still in a breakout room.
He's 6 to be back, Judge. We were having to deal with a Oklahoma notary. They don't use an ink stamp, they use an embossed stamp. So it wasn't viewable.
All right. Okay, well, we'll just wait till he gets done doing his thing.
I think we finally got a clear enough copy. The court will be able to see the embossment on the paper, but it was weird once we scanned it.
Understood.
Scanners were picking it up more like an ink splotch than what we needed it to be.
Judge, I just sent out the emails with the relinquishments attached to everybody. And let me grab my coat and I'll be ready.
All right, Mr. Trout, okay, I'm sorry, I'm trying to get back to where I was here. Just a minute.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right, how many witnesses do you have?
Just one, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. Is that going to be Ms. Lane?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Ms. Lane, if you will. Thank you. You solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you will give today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, you may proceed.
Ms. Lane, would you state your name for the record, please?
Mickey Lane.
And Ms. Lane, how are you employed?
I'm employed as a permanency specialist at St. Francis Ministries.
And are you familiar with the case we're here on today involving the children?
Yes, sir.
And are you the permanency specialist on that case?
Yes, sir.
Did the respondent father, Duncan Kirkpatrick, sign an affidavit of voluntary relinquishment as to both children on the 22nd day of April 2025?
Yes, sir.
Were you able to review those relinquishments?
Yes, sir.
Has the respondent signed the relinquishments?
Yes, sir.
Were they notarized?
Yes, sir.
Was it witnessed by 2 people?
Yes.
Has the department consented to being the designated managing conservator of the child?
Yes.
Or of the children, I'm sorry.
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, I would ask to bench file Dad's affidavit of voluntary relinquishment. It is marked exhibit number 1.
No objection.
No objection.
No objection.
All right, I will. I'm printing it here as we speak. You may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. And Your Honor, I'd ask to go ahead and admit that affidavit as exhibit number 1.
Any objection, counsel?
No objection.
No objection.
All right, petitioner's exhibit 1 is admitted.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Lane, are you asking the court to terminate the parental rights of Duncan Kirkpatrick as to the child based solely upon the voluntary relinquishment?
Yes, sir.
And is the department agreeing to waive all other grounds?
Yes, sir.
And do you believe that is in the best interest of the children?
Yes, sir.
Ms. Lane, did the mother, Lorna Kirkpatrick, execute an affidavit of voluntary relinquishment on the 22nd day of April 2025?
Yes, sir.
Have you had the opportunity to review that relinquishment?
Yes, sir.
Did the respondent mother sign the relinquishment?
Yes, sir.
Were there 2 witnesses to that relinquishment?
Yes, sir.
Has it been notarized?
Yes, sir.
Has the department consented to being the managing conservator of the children?
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, I would ask to bench file the mother's affidavit of voluntary relinquishment that was just testified to, and ask to admit it as exhibit number 2.
No objection.
No objection.
No objection.
Petitioner's exhibit 2 is admitted.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Lane, is the department asking the court today to terminate the parental rights of Lorna Kirkpatrick based solely upon her affidavit of voluntary relinquishment?
Yes, sir.
And agreeing to waive all other grounds?
Yes, sir.
And do you believe that's in the best interest of the children?
Yes, sir.
Ms. Lane, how are the children doing?
The children are doing really well in their home with their grandfather. They're very comfortable. Crew has started talking a lot more. He's running and walking. He will run up to me and scream my name. So he's definitely learning a lot of words. Cope is still doing, or Duncan the second is doing really well in the home. He's comfortable. I've asked him every time I've been out there if he's okay and if he's doing well, and he always responds that he is, and his grades are all straight A's. I've seen his report card.
Okay. And they are placed with paternal grandfather, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And at this time, there's no reason or intention to move the children.
Correct.
We do have an ICPC also that's pending on maternal grandmother. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. But at this time, we're asking that the children will not be moved unless there's a further order of the court or an agreement, correct? Okay. And you believe that is also in the best interest of the children?
Yes.
I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
Ms. Grant, any questions?
Very briefly, Judge. Ms. Lane, you've made every effort to have a face-to-face meeting with Lorna Kirkpatrick this month as required, correct?
Correct.
And because we do that through my office, we have not achieved that. However, your effort, that was not due to any lack of effort on your part. Would you agree?
Yes.
And as to the maternal grandmother and the ICPC, do you have any objection to her contacting you and setting up video visits for herself only without the mother present?
No, ma'am, I don't have any concerns.
So if I've instructed her to contact you in regard to setting that up, that would be the appropriate course for her to take in order to set that up, correct?
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, pass the witness, Judge.
Mr. Nowak?
Briefly, thank you, Judge Mickey. It's always good to see you. Is the current plan, I know not everything is set in stone, but is the current plan for Cliff Kirkpatrick to proceed with adoption?
Yes. The children are in their intended placement.
Excellent. And I know because we're placing or potentially families going to adopt, What are your thoughts on, I'm not sure what they're called anymore, but when I was adopting about 25 years ago, they were called goodbye visits. I hate that term, but what are your thoughts on Duncan or Lorna having one of those visits? Maybe we don't have to call it a goodbye visit in front of the kids.
I think it was discussed even during mediation about a goodbye visit. I don't think St. Francis was an objection to doing a goodbye visit.
And again, you'd be the contact for that sort of visit, correct?
Yes, sir.
Mickey, thank you so much, Judge. That's all I have.
Okay, Ms. Zavala?
I have no questions, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Trot, do you have any further questions of this witness?
Just the one, I think it's kind of covered, but just to ask anyway. Ms. Lane, you're also asking for the department to be named permanent managing conservator of the children at this time, correct?
Correct.
Thank you. I'll pass witness, Your Honor. No further questions.
All right, anybody else have any further questions for Ms. Lane? All right, then, Mr. Trout, anything further?
Nothing further, Your Honor. Department will rest.
Okay. Ms. Grant?
No witnesses, Your Honor, and I hope I didn't miss it as my computer cut out, but did Mr. Trout state on the record that he's waiving all grounds other than the relinquishment?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, we rest.
Okay, Mr. Nowak.
Rest, Judge.
All right, Ms. Zavala?
No witnesses, I rest.
All right, Ms. Zavala, do you have a recommendation to make in particular regarding this visit?
Yes, Your Honor. I have visited with the boys regularly in the home. They are doing very well. I do believe that termination of parental rights is in their best interest. I think that if there is to be what's termed as a goodbye visit, because of the nature of the substances used, we've got to have a clean UA. I mean, that would be huge in terms of any continued access to the children. I did discuss with placement last night, specifically and in previous visits, that while adoption is pending, that rules as to who gets visits all goes through St. Francis. And so we were very clear about no contact with parents during that time, other than if such a visit is ordered.
All right, thank you, Ms. Ball. Well,
Your Honor, may I speak on something real quick on that?
sure.
I don't think my client says, Ms. Lane said, we have an issue with goodbye visits at all. As Ms. Zavala said, with the nature of the substances in this case, I'd hate to do a goodbye visit if we're waiting on drug screens and stuff to come back positive to be, 2 or 3 months down the road when that happens. If parents' attorneys are okay with it, I would recommend do it as a virtual visit to where we can do it sooner rather than later. Just so we're not pushing them out so far. I don't want to start confusing the children as to why they're shut off and then months down the road, they're seeing parents all of a sudden. I think we would be in agreement with virtual visits, if parents are going to be testing positive right now. Just so we're not pushing them out down the road. But that's all I have to say, John.
And Your Honor, my client is actually in Oklahoma, and a virtual visit would probably be more appropriate for her. Additionally, she's got a little medical issue going on right now, and it would also probably facilitate quicker with her virtually, and we don't object.
Okay, I won't stand in the way of a virtual visit, but I don't want it, particularly because of Cope's age, I don't want it referred to, in the visit as any kind of goodbye visit, and that visit can occur and take place as long as everybody's appropriate. And things are calm and under control. I don't know how effective this really is with crew at his age, but he can join in for the time that anybody can keep a 2-year-old engaged or
And
something like that.
Judge Ms. Lane just reminded me, Dad did screen in April for us. He was clean on a UA, this month. So I will throw that out there.
And Judge, with the nature of the recurrences in this case and the severity and risk of the children of contact visits based on substances used, I would be concerned if we didn't do a UA like immediately prior to the visit.
Yeah,
for each
I
parent.
mean, I agree. I would want a contemporaneous, screen done. I mean, his hair was positive in March.
Yes, ma'am.
So
And
they can both do a UA, but and if they're negative, I don't know. I'm gonna back up. I'm just gonna I'm gonna order that they be virtual.
Okay.
I think as most of you well know, I'm not a big fan of these because I think it's really hard on the kids.
yes, ma'am.
But and because there's been some interruption in visitation because of the positive drug screens, I mean, I think it just keeps the children on a roller coaster. But I'll allow it to happen, but I'm only going to allow it to happen virtually. And like I said, with no reference to it being a goodbye visit.
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am.
The truth of the matter is the children are with family members, and at some point in time, we hope that they'll be adopted by family. And, then it's going to be up to the family to determine what contact, if any, these folks ever have with the children. And, it's like most families, I suspect if they get clean and stay clean for a while and demonstrate that they really, have got things under control. You know, family can be very forgiving, and I suspect that they probably would allow them contact under those circumstances, and I hope only under those circumstances. So, at some point in time, when we're out of this, that's very likely to happen if they will both get clean,
Yes.
or if one or the other. They're not, necessarily tied together on that. So, anyway, we'll just stick with the virtual visit right now. Okay, then I do find by clear and convincing evidence that the best interest of the children, that it is in their best interest to terminate the parental rights between both of those children and their mother, Lorna Kirkpatrick, and their father, Duncan Kirkpatrick, based on their voluntary affidavits of relinquishment only under the K grounds and under the best interests under subsection B2. I will name the department as permanent managing conservator of both children, and I will dismiss all court-appointed attorneys after the de novo and appellate timeframes expire. Counsel, as always, be mindful that your de novo time does begin to run since we've rendered an open court. And also, if you're instructed to file a notice of appeal, please do not do that until a final order has been signed and adopted by the referring court. Since Mr. Kirkpatrick is here, I wish him the very best of luck in his future, and I hope that, this is a demon that he can ultimately get under control. Because whether you're legally their dad or not, you are a part of their life, and kids need everybody they can have to depend on and to be part of their lives, as long as it's good influence. So I appreciate counsel all of your work today to get this handled and get paperwork back and signed, and we will send these relinquishments down to the clerk's office this afternoon. Anybody have anything else? I will announce, though, for everybody, for those still involved, obviously Ms. Zavala will be in the department. But our next review hearing is July 10th of 2025, and that'll be on a 9 o'clock docket.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, then, we will adjourn. Ms. Gilman, thank you so much for your time today. As always, we really appreciate you.
You're welcome, Judge. Thank you.
Okay. Everybody
Thank you.
else have a good rest of your day.
Yes,
Thank you,
ma'am.
Judge.
Thank you, Stacy and Vince.
Thank you, Daniel.
And Mickey, yeah, she hopped off. Never mind. People are quick on that button.
Oh.